Here, ready to talk about the big win Saturday night and a big one coming up in San Diego this coming Saturday. The Bulldogs 3-0 atop the West Division of the Mountain West. Coach, when the season started, you said your goal was to win a conference championship and go to a bowl game. To be halfway through the season and sit first place in your division, how good does that feel?
Well, it's nice to be where we are right now, but there's a lot of football left, and our focus is really 1 week at a time. And huge game this week going to San Diego State. They're a great football team, and happy with the way our kids played the other night. But there's a new challenge each and every week.
I mean, going into the year, looking at the results that these same players had before, could you have possibly expected to play 10 out of your 12 quarters at home without giving up a point? I mean, 10 out of 12 quarters, and 14 of those 21 points you've given up in the stadium happened in like a 1-minute flurry of the Nevada game. That's pretty lockdown defense you guys are playing here.
Yeah, our defense is playing well. Coach Steinhauer and the defensive staff doing a good job of implementing game plans, and then the players playing really fast. It's something we've worked on as far as our standard of running to the ball and tackling, and we practice hard every day with it, and then they've been able to carry it over to the game. So it's all about preparation, the standard that we set for ourselves and how we work, and but they did a real nice job this last week. That was a tough offense to stop or to slow down, and thought there was a good plan in place, and the kids really played hard.
And you shared with us after the game that it was an elbow injury to Ronnie Rivers. Have you learned anything else about that situation, and when will you know whether he can play for you Saturday?
No, he's got a test this morning. He's feeling a lot better, so I'm sure it's just a sprained elbow, and I think he'll be fine. It's didn't really need him to come back at that point, and so he'll have MRI today, and see if there's anything there, but he's feeling a lot better.
You guys came out Saturday showing the deep ball early, and then later on a real important play, you've got the perfect play call with a quarterback draw. And I realize on a quarterback draw it's about 11 guys, not just one. But Mark is showing off that skill set of being able to throw an accurate deep ball and the athleticism to pick up 57 yards on the ground. You've coached quarterbacks a long time. How rare is that combination in a quarterback to be able to do both of those things?
Well, yeah, the running ability, you don't see every day. He does a good job with that, and Coach DeBoer did a great job on that to get into that play versus defense that matched up. And then you're right, it's about all 11 guys, and he wasn't touched till 50 yards down the field, so it was great execution by everybody. Something we needed to get out of. We were in some tough field position early in the game, and we were backed up in third and extra long there, and so it was we needed that to get out of there. And so it was a nice play by him, and some long balls. He threw some nice long balls. A couple more that I think if he had to do over again would throw out there a little bit further. He's doing a good job. But you're right. The execution of the offensive line. I don't think the offensive line gets enough credit. As football goes, right? It's all the skilled guys that get all the accolades, but the offensive line's doing a real nice job because they had a great pressure package last week, and I thought our guys did a nice job of protecting them.
We have some follow-up questions here in the back.
I think I could hear him from there. Okay.
Hey, Coach, so with one of your changes going into the season was Juju Hughes going from corner to safety. What are some of the characteristics that we've seen with him, that you've seen with him, to see that he's actually going to be successful, and he's been successful this season?
Yeah, we were pretty deep at corner, and he was a logical guy to go inside there with his instincts about football and how he plays, and he's really taken that position really, really well. The way he's tackling, the way he's defeating blocks, he can cover man-to-man, plus he can play inside and play in the run game. So I think it was evident last week the way he filled the lanes, and he had 11 tackles. He was our player of the week for our team, defensive player of the week, with 11 tackles. I think he had 2 pass breakups and a couple tackles for loss. So that position really suits him really well. He's he's really coachable. He's playing really hard, and he's done a nice job of being a sure tackler, which you need at that position if you're going to be able to be in the backfield and run the alleys like he does. So he's done a really nice job for us so far.
Does that give the defense in general like confidence in seeing that you made that change and it's actually working overall for the entire team?
You know, I don't know that they really look at that all that much. I think they're just kind of locked in on the total scheme and what's going on. You know, yeah, I think they have confidence, but I think they all worry or not worry. I think they all are a little bit more focused on, you know, what their job is. You know, and we try to preach, do your job, and you know, so there's a lot of guys playing hard and running fast, and you know, Mike Bell was another one who came in and did a really nice job, and the linebacking core playing really well, and so there's a lot of guys really running to the ball, which in the big picture helps everyone, you know, because if you have guys coming from inside out, you can take angles and you can give backs one way to go or ball carriers one way to go, and because we're running so hard to the football, it makes everyone successful because there's numerous hats to the ball.
Coach, with San Diego State coming off a loss, does that change their preparation, their urgency even more? I mean, it was going to be a big battle anyways between you guys, but now that they're coming off a loss, how does that affect you guys?
Well, it really doesn't affect us. I mean, I don't know that it affects them. I mean, I'm sure they do the same thing of preparation each week. You know, for us, we have a great deal of respect for them. They're a great football team, and you know, it's not, you know, it's perennial. You know, they're always battling for the conference championship, and right there, and Coach Long does a great job with them. And offensively, they're very physical with Penny at running back. I mean, they're, you know, physical. He's a big-time player. They got a lot of weapons. They're very good on the offensive line. Really good tight ends. They're very physical and get down the field and catch the football. So, you know, it's the transition from last week spread option stuff to this week downhill power game, you know, a little bit different, obviously. Their defense is the number one defense in the conference, very aggressive, great schemes. They do an awesome job. They play really, really hard, you know. So, you know, really last week's history, I'm sure they'll prepare well for us, and we're going to do our best to be prepared when we go down there.
How powerful is a thing like momentum coming in on a winning streak? You've been around football a long time, when you guys can kind of get rolling and maybe don't feel like anyone can beat you guys.
Well, you know, we try to stay pretty grounded. You know, last week's over and the week before that's over. You know, we're really, it's like we're 0-0, you know, right now, you know, and, you know, the biggest thing is that our players understand how to work and how to prepare each week, and not to get too caught up on, you know, external things. And, you know, with a little success comes expectation, but the expectation really is in our team room of how we expect to practice, how we expect to prepare, and, you know, take care of the little things, and the big things that generally take care of themselves. And, you know, football's football, and each week it's a new challenge and a new battle, and different matchups, and, you know, protecting the football is a big deal, you know, and we're +7 in a turnover ratio, and that's a big deal. We've had some takeaways and haven't given the ball up much, and you know, need to continue to do little things like that in order to be successful.
What do you attribute your improved tackling this year, Coach?
We work on it very hard. It was an emphasis coming in. We work it every single day. We're a low shoulder tackling team, and you know, which does a lot of things, keeps our head out of it, you know, where we don't get any head-to-head contact and, you know, things like that. But our guys, and it helps you run to the ball. You know, you're targeting on where your target is to tackle. You know, we have these donuts that are out there on the field that we roll around and we tackle every single day. And, you know, and it makes the guys play fast. And you don't have as many missed tackles. When you're trying to tackle people high, they're gonna you know, push you off and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. But the fundamental of tackling is something that we've preached since day one here. We worked it really, really hard through spring, worked it really hard in camp, and every single day we practice it. and where the kids are used to it, and I think they have confidence in what they're doing, and that way it makes them play a little bit faster.
I mean, the tackling has improved, but also your defense, it doesn't seem like your defense is ever caught out of position where it's fooled or, plays going the other way, or you blitz somewhere and the play's going opposite side of the field. What do you attribute that to? Just your defense being sound schematically and being in the right place?
Yeah, I think that's been a process through the year, really. And, it's about everybody doing their job. What is your responsibility, and do your job. It was evident the other day, on the last play when they tried to throw a throwback into the end zone, and Juju was waiting for him back there. Didn't get overly aggressive, and that was huge last week. Going into that game was do your job, because that's how the option can beat you. Is you get out of place, just take care of the dive back, take care of the pitch back, take care of the quarterback, cover the receivers. All that stuff is assignment football is really what it is, and then the discipline to do that. And this week is going to be a battle. It's going to be a physical game. We're going to have to play really physical because they will run downhill at you a lot, but they do a good job of play action pass as well. So it's going to be the same thing. Do your job and play hard. Trust your teammate.
Do you have a kind of interchangeable secondary? I mean, on Saturday we saw Mike Bell, Tank Kelly getting more reps. I mean, they're physical players. Was that obviously on purpose? You want physical tacklers against an option team. Maybe something similar this week, although their offense is different. Or maybe you face a big passing team and you've got other guys that are maybe a little better equipped against the passing game.
Yeah, we do. We switch guys in and out depending on who we're playing and how the matchups are. I think that's football. Situational football and what matchups are important. Mike Bell has done a really good job. He's done a nice job on playing against the pass, against the run. He's a big physical guy. So we've moved some guys around, quite a bit. And every week we evaluate our personnel, see what the best matchups are, and, then plug them in. And, the defensive staff does a really nice job of implementing the plan and get them to understand what they're doing, and then, so they can play fast. And so, each week there may be a little different combination in there depending on what we're seeing.
When you switch guys, we talked about Juju earlier and Mike Bell that came in as corners, and now they're safeties. They switch positions and they have this success. Does that resonate in the locker room to the guys? Like, oh, maybe these coaches know what they're talking about if it's time for me to switch positions?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. All I know is we try to get our guys. We feel like we have some good players that maybe fit other positions on what our defensive scheme is. Maybe before the defensive scheme was different, and that put them in that position. But all we can do is look at what our schemes are and the guys that are best suited to execute our schemes, and and then put them in a position to hopefully be successful.
Coach Steinauer, obviously you knew him well enough to hire him as your defensive coordinator, but what have you learned from him over these last few months working with him, every single day, and the results?
I think
the
most, he's a real positive guy, good teacher, but I think the most important thing about Coach Steinauer is his ability to implement his whole staff's ideas. Coming from the CFL and coming down here, there's a transition for sure. And so when I say Coach O and his staff, I really do mean that, because there's some guys in there with Coach Kane at defensive line and Burt coaching the linebackers and JD. There's a lot of experience in there. And so, I think the biggest plus for Orlando is that he's willing to listen and they're willing to work together, not trying to force a square peg in a round hole, and so that's been a process. When I say there's a process there, it's been a process. But, I think that says a lot about Coach O is that, he is willing to communicate and listen and learn and work together with his guys. And so that's a good room, and that's what it takes. It takes a good room. There's always, in any coaching room, in any good coaching room, there's always debate about this, that, and there's a lot of ideas tossed around, and then to put them all together. I think the best thing about O is not just his ability to be positive and teach, but his ability to communicate with his staff and the kids.
Coach, obviously Jameer Jordan had a great game, one of his breakout games this year. How much of a confidence booster is this particular game, and comparing to what happened early on in the season with the couple drops he had?
Well, I hope good. It's we every day. We practice hard and we try to get better every day. And so it was nice to see him make a couple nice catches and have some success. But that's we still have a lot of work to do. And we're going to continue to grind on details and getting better every single day in practice. Just because last week was last week doesn't mean we stop trying to get better, because he had a little success. Because there's still a lot of things we can do better. At every position, there's always something to learn from. And it's nice to see him have some success. Anyone who has success, it's great to see him do that, because they all work hard. So obviously those are big plays. Especially, the deep one, he was wide open. You'd expect that. But the one that he caught in the end zone was a tough catch. So it was nice to see him come down with that. Well, it's there's distraction that comes with that, and talked about staying free of distractions. Distractions comes from good and bad. There's always somebody that is going to pull at you one way or another, and so it's really important that we stay free of distractions, totally stay focused on what we're doing in this room. Talked about with a little success comes expectation, but again, I'll say it again, outside things, we have got to focus on what's in this room and how we prepare, and expect to practice every day, expect to practice hard, expect to be coached hard. We talk about just what our responsibilities are, and their job is grind, refine, and compete. And our coach's job is teach, critique, and demand. And that's what we have to stay to. It doesn't matter what happened last week or the weeks before. It's just that's what we have to do. And so we'll continue to approach it that way. And I'm sure the kids, I have a good feeling for the team that they understand that. I think they welcome that. I think they welcome being coached hard and being held accountable to the details. And take 1 week at a time. And so that's really critical that we continue with that in this room.
Rashad Penny's already over 1,000 yards despite his least productive game of the year against Boise State. What impresses you about his game? What are the different things that he can do, or the different ways that he can help them win a game?
Well, he's physical. He has great speed. He can run inside. He can run outside. And so you got to get a lot of hats on him to get him down. And it all starts up front. They do a really nice job up front. Really good offensive line. You give him a crease, he's going to make something out of it. Has the speed when he gets in the open field to take it the distance. So he's a very well-rounded back.
I think Rocky's quote about their offensive line Saturday was that they played terrible in that game. What did you see from Boise State to slow down Penny and get them behind, kind of the way you did against New Mexico, to force them to play a different style game than they want to play?
Well, Boise's excellent defense as well. They were very physical, did some good things, and held them in check for sure. So it's important to have a good plan going in. To make sure that we're a gap control defense and that we win our one-on-one battles. And I thought Boise did some of that. They won their one-on-one battles, and sometimes that's what it comes down to.
And don't laugh at me, but you guys have only played one game on grass, and it was probably the nicest grass in the whole country at Alabama. But this game down in San Diego, dealing with grass again, is that something that you have to prepare differently for, or are there some challenges that are going to come with that in this day and age of turf everywhere you guys might not be ready for or used to?
No, because we practice on grass through the week. On Tuesday and Wednesday we practice on grass here. Thankfully we have a turf field in the stadium, and we have a grass field on our practice fields. And so, we'll do the same. We'll practice there this week. And but generally it's nice grass, and I've had the opportunity to be in that stadium quite a bit, playing the Holiday Bowl numerous times and the Insight Bowl, and so been in there quite a bit. And it's a pretty fast track. It's nice grass usually. So I don't think it's going to be an issue really. It's very similar to what we practice on every day.
And finally, this is a rivalry game. I know you probably haven't touched that trophy or seen it up close since you haven't been around Fresno State in a few years until this year. But did you see what it meant for your team to bring that rivalry trophy with San Jose State back home? And does that give you a sense for what this oil can could mean, or some symbolic value there for them to have something they can hold and bring back home?
Yeah, I think, as far as those things are concerned, the biggest thing is to continue on the next week of our goal. When things are involved, like the oil can, I think that's icing on the cake. It's, to tell you the truth, I just learned, I knew there was something there and just, read up on it yesterday to find out what it was about, because it wasn't around when I was playing or coaching. I think it's been implemented 7 years. I think I read, and then what it was, where they got it and what it was all about and all that kind of thing, so it's something we'll be aware of, but really, that's not the total motivation of this game. It's just one small piece of it, really. This is really just about this week's opportunity to compete against one of the best teams, the best team in our conference, really, and up to last week, a nationally ranked team. So excellent football team, and so really that's the motivation is to compete against a great football team on the road.
And do you think people understand, how good the Aztecs are, that they beat Stanford and slowed down Bryce Love a little bit, that they beat the Arizona State team that just took out Washington?
Yeah, exactly. We understand it. I don't know if everybody understands it, but there was a reason they were ranked 19th in the country. Back-to-back weeks beat Arizona State and Stanford. And you're right, Arizona State just beat Washington. Stanford, look what they're doing. San Diego State's a solid football team all the way around, so it's a huge challenge to go there and be successful, and that's our job right now, is to make sure we're 100% dialed in and focused and prepared to go there and compete for 4 quarters, and so that's the job at hand.
And one last thing, I know that you want it to be the same every week and you want consistency. You don't want guys losing focus on the task at hand. But there's a big reward for you if you win this game. What it can do for your program and the position it'll put you in terms of the conference race. With a win, you're 2 games ahead of San Diego State. You're absolutely in the driver's seat for winning that West Division. Do you want your guys thinking about that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if they get this job done Saturday night?
No, not really. Because it's just the focus that we have. The big things will take care of themselves. They really will. And I don't want, I want them doing exactly what they've been doing. I want them going out with focus every single day to practice and practicing hard and preparing and going to meetings like they always have. We shouldn't prepare any differently or have a different mindset or anything like that. We should have the same mindset each and every opportunity to play. We can't be on a roller coaster and be up because this a big game and that's a big. Every game's a big game, and so all those things will take care of themselves. They really will. This is just 100% about making sure that we stay dialed in on our preparation, and play together as a team and know what we're doing, be assignment sound and play fast and execute and all those take care of the football, take the football away, all those things. And I think our team understands if we do those things, we have a good chance of being successful when we play. And, but we have to execute. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what's at stake. We're not going to play I hope we're not playing any harder because of where we are. And, because then if you're doing that when, it's not like that, then, it's just, I think consistency is key on how we get things done.
And with that, we'll let Coach Tedford go at this time. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you.